I sing Never Gonna Give You Up?
No. We just got done watching Wreck-It Ralph 2. Ralph Breaks the Internet. What did you think of Wreck-It Ralph 2? Ralph Breaks the Internet.
You're saying it on purpose because it sounds wrong.
It is wrong because it should be Ralph Wrecks the Internet.
Maybe they thought that would be too hard for the children to enunciate.
No, it's because breaking the internet is a real thing that people say.
This movie exceeded my expectations by... I don't even know how large of an amount to say. I was expecting it to be sad and boring and a disgrace to the movie. And it was awesome.
Okay, well, I thought that this movie was as good as I expected it, as I hoped it would be, which is to say that it was really good. The trailers, do you want to talk about those? The trailers looked terrible. I don't know who's marketing these Disney movies, but they're really, really bad at their job. So I got the same impression towards this movie as I did with First Wreck-It Ralph and Inside Out, which both also turned out to be really good. But I was still, really scared. I'm really happy about how this movie turned out.
I think I'm just impressed with how far they went with so much of it, and how coherent and good the storyline was, despite... I mean, I think of something like the Emoji Movie, where it tried really hard to make the plot and the jokes all fit into this quirky world, but the whole time you're like, hey, wait a minute, none of this actually makes sense. And in this movie it was...
Well, that's because nobody cared about that movie.
Well, yeah.
T.J. Miller cared, but I don't think anybody else did.
My point is that this movie was seamless. The plot was good, it didn't lag on, it made sense, the jokes fit really well. I'll bite you.
So the story is really focused. There's a lot of stuff they set up early on where they just barely even mention later on, and I was perfectly fine with that because the story has so much material and it stays so focused on the relationship between Ralph and Vanellope, and that's really, I guess, where the direction they're taking this series. So this movie's about a kid accidentally breaks Vanellope's wheel, and so Ralph and Vanellope go into the internet to try and find a replacement piece. This movie treats internet culture exactly as well as the first movie treated video game culture. They clearly respected everything that they talked about. They clearly understood exactly what they were doing. There was a really good scene where Ralph was memeing it up, but it was in an office and everybody was just staring at their screens going there's not really anything embarrassing in this movie, which I definitely expected.
Embarrassing to the makers?
No, I really hate this terminology, but as they say, cringe. There wasn't anything in this movie that was wow, that's really stupid and awkward, and they should have known better, unlike the Emoji Movie. The people who wrote this movie understood the way that the internet works.
I think the word you're looking for there is tacky.
Tacky? What are you, 90?
It's still a valid word. Mr. Cringe
over
there.
Are you gonna call it gaudy next?
What are you, 14?
Was this movie really hoity-toity? We have no children watching this anymore.
I think this movie did a really good job of having a realistic life lesson and moral without... I mean, I guess it was a little preachy, but it wasn't, I'm going to sit down with you and talk to you about the morals now, preachy. And I think that it's a lesson that is really important for our generation to hear, for kids to be hearing, because I think a lot of times we get our feelings hurt and then we pity ourselves and we get all self-conscious and mopey and we think, oh, we didn't do anything wrong, and it really just drives home what being a good friend is and what not being a good friend is.
Do you want to talk about the twist villain? And it makes me really, really happy to say this, the lack of a twist villain, because every Disney movie since the first Wreck-It Ralph, like, ushered that in, where every Disney movie's gonna have a big revealing twist villain now. And this movie is just this really personal story about two people's relationship.
And that makes it feel a lot more real life, because it's relatable to the things that we do to each other, and there isn't a big cartoony bad guy that they overcome to fix things. They just talk it out.
It's all internal.
Yeah.
Like the first Toy Story. I really hope that this ushers in a new wave of conflict in Disney movies, because I stand by that Coco was completely ruined by, like, the last 20 minutes. You don't need a twist villain in every movie. I really liked the new game they made. It was Slaughter Race. There was some really fun animation there where the players, like, were all laggy and choppy, and their, like, mouths were just, like, dropping.
It was really kind of interesting to see the world of arcade games and the world of internet or video games colliding, and just kind of seeing through their eyes what the differences are. They talked a lot about upgrades and, like, consistently and ultimately, like, forever being able to build new maps and add new characters, and I think that that's something that new games really, I don't know, it's something that I don't usually think about, but they compared those two worlds in a unique way by seeing it through the game player's eyes.
Is there anything you didn't like about this movie?
There are parts of the Disney princess thing that I thought were kind of fun, but it went on a little bit long. And
it was like 2 scenes.
And the princess song, like, the idea was funny, but then it was a full-length princess song.
See, I liked that because it was, like, it started off being a joke and being funny, but then as it went on, it became, like, this genuine thing that came from Vanellope's motives.
Yeah, and then it was just like, okay, I get it, it's genuine now, but then it just kept being genuine. It was a little long, but, I mean, I don't really have any strong criticism, because I really enjoyed this movie. I watched it to be entertained, not even to review it.
It goes by really fast,
mm-hmm.
as fast as the first movie. I do think there's some, like, dialogue problems near the beginning, where there's a lot of stuff it's too blatant about what they're trying to get across between the characters, but overall I would definitely say you should see this movie. It's probably the best Disney movie since the first Wreck-It Ralph or Inside Out, what have you.
Yeah, but now, like, 60% of movies are Disney movies.
Yeah, and 90% of the movies they make are bad.
You're not wrong.
What I think is happening is that they're making a really good movie as frequently as they have always been. It's just that now the gaps between those good movies are filled up with crap.
A bunch of money-making junk.
Like, between Inside Out and this, what was there? Into the Woods,
remember.
Beauty and the Beast, Alice
A Good
2,
Dinosaur.
A Wrinkle in Time. I mean, like, not counting Marvel, because that's...
The Nutcracker.
Yeah, it's just movie after movie of, like, we need to get people into theater, we need to retain the brand of Disney being this big, grand thing, and it's... You don't need to see every Disney movie. But you should see this one. Is every Disney review gonna turn into a rant about how bad Disney is?
I'll allow it. The people need to know.
Alright. I really like John C. Reilly.
Yes.
And I like Sarah Silverman too. I haven't watched any of her stand-up. I probably wouldn't like her stand-up.
I tried one time, and I'm gonna agree with the statement that you just said. But I like a lot of the... I guess I like when she's incorporated in things. Like when she shows up in Louis C.K., she's really good. But when
She seems to be a pretty good actress.
Yeah. Her and John C. Reilly are such an unlikely pairing, and they're cute. I like it.
I think I'm done.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it's so simple because it's just so good.
When it's a good movie, I don't have nearly as much to say, which might come across as it being a bad thing, because the review's shorter, but like, what do you say about a good movie that you liked? You just say, it's good and I liked it.
And you'll like it too.
Hopefully.
Or else we're out of the job.